Here we go, for measuring. First thing and foremost, please make sure you watch this cute little video clip that should have been listed above this to know why it is so important for us to measure correctly and be able to understand what a recipe says, because recipes have a language of their own. Starting with abbreviations, how we shorten words to make it easier and quicker to write. Equivalents, how different measurements compare to each other. And correct measuring techniques to make sure we get the same amount of ingredient every time. Okay, first off with our abbreviations. We have several different abbreviations. Let us identify them. Our first one is a teaspoon. By the way, a teaspoon can be abbreviated two different ways. It can be a lowercase t or a TSP. The teaspoon, think about if you're an English person drinking tea, you've got that little spoon to stir it, maybe to dissolve your sugar in, and that's about it. The spoon's purpose is not to take the tea to your mouth. You're going to use the cup for that, right? So the teaspoon is really small. It doesn't hold very much. Our next one is called the tablespoon. The tablespoon, once again, can be abbreviated two different ways. This is what you would have at the table with you when you're eating dinner. And you want to get that food to your mouth as soon as you can because you're hungry. You want to get as much of it there. So we're going to use a large T or a TBSP. TB is in table, SP is in spoon. So our tablespoon is bigger than our teaspoon so that it can hold higher volumes of ingredients. Please note they are still just spoons, so they are not very big. Let's see if I can add my spoon picture in here. There we go. Here is a tablespoon here. And then this one right here is a teaspoon. So they're different sizes. Next one we're going to look at is the cup. So a cup, only 3 letters. You wouldn't think we need to shorten it at all, but we do anyway. Shortens to a C. It could be a lowercase c or an uppercase C, it doesn't really matter. A C is a C. And a cup, volume-wise, is not the same measure as your drinking glass. The cup is an actual specific volume. Next, we have the pint. The pint is shortened to PT, and the pint is larger than the cup. It's actually 2 cups. Our next one is the quart. It is shortened to QT. And the quart is bigger than the pint. It's actually 2 pints. Extra information that you guys probably know. Gallon is our next one. It would be shortened to GAL. Gal for gallon. And the gallon just happens to be 4 quarts. Okay. Number 6. Up to this point, these abbreviations have been able to make sense of. Ounce jumps out the window and doesn't quite follow any rules. To abbreviate ounce, we go O-Z. I'm not positive why it's a Z. I've been meaning to research that and haven't got around to it. So ounce is just one you have to remember that it's a Z. to make ounce. Number 7 on your paper is pound. Pound is very similar to ounce, where it just kind of jumps boat and is a little bit different. We can abbreviate pound 2 different ways as well. The first one is LB for pound. If it's plural, pounds, LBS for pounds. Okay, once again, just like ounce, I'm not sure where that came from. Or, this one's going to be very familiar to you guys. Sometimes they use the pound sign. You probably know this pound sign as the number sign, or more commonly the hashtag. But its name is also pound sign. If you're on the phone with an automatic menu, maybe you're calling the local library and they're trying to figure out what department to send you to, sort of idea. It's an automatic message. They're going to say, for 1, you will get returns. For 2, you get holds. And for 3, you can talk to the lady at the front desk. Please select your answer and then press pound. That's a common use for it. And then our last abbreviation that we have here is package. Maybe you need a whole package of yeast or a whole package of Jell-O mix. We're going to shorten package to PKG. Package. We've gone back to something that makes sense, where we just cut out all the vowels, and we'll just get rid of C2. So those are the most common abbreviations that you would find in any recipe. Sometimes there are more, but these are the basic ones that I want you guys to know. Now, we need to talk about equivalents a little bit. Equivalents are all about what sounds like. Equal. So we're going to look at how one measurement equals another measurement. To start off equivalents, we need to know what we actually have to measure with, so we can go, okay, this spoon equals this spoon, this cup equals this cup kind of idea. These are the measuring cups that we have. And I have one of the measuring spoons that we have. In a generic measuring set, like if I just go to the store and I buy a bunch of measuring spoons and measuring cups, in a basic generic measuring set, you have a 1 cup, a half cup, a third cup, and a quarter cup. Some more fancy sets might have an 1/8 of a cup or even a 2-cup cup. Depends on the set. A generic one will have these 4. As far as our spoons go, we've got a 1 capital T is our tablespoon. And then we have a 1 teaspoon. We have a half a teaspoon and a quarter teaspoon. Once again, this is a basic generic set. A more complicated set might have an 1/8 of a teaspoon, or it might have 2 tablespoons, or I've even seen a half a tablespoon. But we're going to look at just a basic generic set. To start with, we're going to look at how a teaspoon, the 1 teaspoon, compares to the 1 tablespoon. This teaspoon, the small spoon, can fit into the tablespoon 3 times. So we can say that there are 3 teaspoons that equal 1 tablespoon, right? 3 teaspoons equals 1 tablespoon. I could put 3 of these small spoons into my large spoon before the large spoon is full. This is important to know because maybe I've lost my tablespoon, but I have my teaspoon. I can measure out 3 teaspoons to equal my tablespoon and find my tablespoon later. Or maybe I need to double or half my recipe. I need a half a tablespoon. I need to know how many teaspoons equal a tablespoon so I can start to do that math. Okay. Next, we're going to look at how this tablespoon compares to our next size up cup. So the smallest of our cups are quarter cup. So if we're looking, 1/4 of a cup equals 4 tablespoons. So we're just going up one measuring equipment size, and we're going to say I can take 4 of these tablespoons and pour them into my quarter cup here before the quarter cup is full. Easy memory device for this is, hey look, quarter is a 4, and there are 4 tablespoons in a quarter cup. Just an easy memory device for that. Unfortunately for our teaspoon to tablespoon, that is one that you just have to memorize. You just have to remember there are 3 small spoons into 1 large tablespoon. Okay. If we're able to fit 4 tablespoons into 1/4 cup, where we just double our quarter cup, so we're just doubling our quarter cup, now we're up to a half a cup. So we're looking at a half a cup equaling how many tablespoons? Well, it's doubled, so it's 8 tablespoons. If that is the case, then we can look at our 3/4 cup. That's now 3 of our quarters, so 4 times 3 equals 12 tablespoons. And then we can also go for 1 complete cup. That's the same as 4 quarters. 4 multiplied by 4 tells us that we have 16 tablespoons in 1 cup. I like to think this way because this 1/4 cup equals 1/4 is an easy memory device for me. A lot of people actually say that this is the one that you should memorize. Just remember, hey, 1 cup equals 16 tablespoons. And then do your math in reverse to get the other ones. So you can remember it either way you'd like. You can either remember this end or this end, either one, whichever is easier for you. Okay. Our next equivalent on your paper that you need to know is how many cups in a gallon? 1 gallon equals, I told you 16 was a magic number, equals 16 cups. So if you just remember, hey, 16 is probably my magic number, you could connect it with both kind of idea. Okay, to help you remember how many cups are in a gallon, I've got a little story for you guys. Have you ever heard of the Kingdom of Gallon? The story goes like this. In the Kingdom of Gallon, there lived 4 queens. Each queen in the Kingdom of Gallon had a prince and a princess. Each prince and each princess had 2 pets. These pets are cats. So each prince and each princess have 2 pet cats. Each pet cat had a collar, and in this collar there were 8 gems. I'm only going to draw one. Here is how this compares to real life. In 1 gallon, there are 4 quarts. In each quart, there are 2 pints. And in each pint, there are 2 cups. In each cup, there are 8 ounces. Is how this goes. So if you know the kingdom of gallon, you can figure out any measure. You can go, hey, how many pints are in 3 quarts? 3 quarts. You can go, hey, there's 1 here, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That would mean there'd be 6 pints in 3 quarts. And you can figure out any other combination. Let's try another one. How many cups would be in a quart? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 cups in 1 quart. How many cups in a gallon? We already said the magic number is 16, but you can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 cups really does equal 1 gallon. So there's a memory device for gallons for you guys. If that one was familiar, have you heard of the Gallon Man? The Gallon Man was a superhero, and he's built a lot like you and I. He's got 2 arms and 2 legs. And additionally, in having 2 arms and 2 legs, his arms and his legs are built like our arms and our legs, where once we get past the elbow, going toward our wrist, we have 2 bones in our arms. Once we go past the knee going toward our ankles, we have 2 bones in our legs. But unlike you or me, the Gallon Man is missing a magic finger. He only has 4 fingers. Same goes for his toes. He only has 4 toes. On each foot, of course. Ooh, the toes are looking creepy. Okay, so here's our Gallon Man, the superhero. Dun 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 dun. Just like you or me, he's got arms and legs. Each of these... Here, I should use a different color. Each of these large sections are large bones, are quarts. There are 4 quarts in Mr. Gallon Man. These little bones, there are 2 for each arm, so 4 in the arms and 2 for each leg, which means 4 in the legs, which means there are 8 pints in Mr. Gallon Man. And then 4 fingers per hand and 4 toes per foot means there are 16 cups in Mr. Gallon Man. That's just another memory device for you guys.